Hi, welcome back to My Life with Plants. I'm Newman. This is the part 2 of the look at the orchids for late September. The one previous to this was the orchids in the garden, hanging under the trees, and now we're going to have a look at the balcony. So we'll first start with this. This is an Epicatlia Renee Marks, I think. It is put up with a lot of heat. I tell you what, I was surprised that it did so well. So there's this new cane here that is almost matured. I have no idea how it put up with the heat, but it did. Something that did not like the heat was the Maxillaria tenuifolia, although it didn't shrivel its canes or anything. It didn't grow either. All summer, no growing. It only grows when it starts to cool down. It is growing in sphagnum moss and terracotta. I did give it frequent waterings during the summer. It didn't grow one little tiny bit. In actual fact, its growth spurt happened in the winter when it was cooler. It hasn't had any too bad effects from the heat, which was daily 35 degrees, very high humidity, so it was very hot. Next up, we will take this down so you can have a better look at it. This is like mini Cattleya, and it has been growing in this pot for a few years now, and it is my rescue. I rescued it. You can see where it did lose a lot of canes many years ago, but since then it's put all of this out. It's growing in a plastic pot that's very shallow, but it's mainly pumice with a little bark. This summer it lost, I think, one cane. And you get those super hot temperatures. It drains away pretty quickly. It had a lot of new growth on it, so I've been looking all over it to see if we are going to have any flowers. Can't see any yet. That's unusual. And no, I can't give it any more sun. It would just burn and burn. I gave it its maximum amount of sun that it can handle. No more than that. Oop, it was actually hanging the other way. Its new canes are big, that's for sure. Though it is still October, can produce flower buds from any of these new canes. Okay, next up is a very hardy Bifinaria. Last name starts with T, and this one grows in central Brazil on very rocky outcrops and very low rainfall areas. Cacti actually grow there too, and it grows on open bare rock in extreme heat. Very bone dry winters, very dry. So this thing only gets water in the summer, so it is almost it's lithophilic. I don't think it grows on anything else. but 35 degrees, no problem for Biffineria. Has beautiful flowers too, if and when it does. This is its new bulb, this one right here. So that I had no problems with on this balcony. I've been evacuating every single bulbophyllum to the garden. This one I've kept in this pot. And it's actually starting to put out new roots now. You can see the new roots, the white. And it is Cattleya lindii. Lindii. It had a little rot, but I cleaned it out. It was the older growth, and you can see a new root growing there because it's a bit cooler now. So at cooler temperatures at night, they go down to about 23 degrees. So that gave it a good amount of coolness during the night. However, it survived all of that heat. We had quite a few days there in August. It went up to 37, 38 degrees, which is about 105 Fahrenheit with high humidity. It needs to flower to show that it's happy. This one is Dyneema polybourbon, and it survived on the balcony. It had one or two small bulbs that rotted. It had a setback, but right at this moment you can see right there that it has got new roots coming away because it's getting colder. It likes to cool down at night. It wasn't cooling down. Also, it does not like to be soaking wet for sure. It likes to dry out in between waterings. And I did take a runner off. So a piece like this. And I did mount it, put it in the garden, which I can't leave there during the winter. Got to rescue it, bring it back inside. This thing has got such a long leaves on it. This is Cattleya ericolor, and it's been out here all summer in this heat. It's put up with it. It had this new growth, but that started during the winter, not in the summer. Summer growth, very poor, next to nothing. Although it did put up with this heat, it did not grow. It's just straight sphagnum moss. This burn here is already there when I bought it. Since having it, I've grown this and this bulb here. This is an Cattleya Kyoguchi Happy Field that had a new growth on it and it aborted it. Completely fell off. However, this growth right here, if I can do the balancing act, that one is the newest growth, and around the back here it has a new growth. Look, can you see that? So this growth won't abort. This time the heat did it. It's right there. You can see the remnants. See that? That's the one that it aborted. It has nice new root growth. It put up with the heat, however, did not appreciate it. very much, because you could tell by the way it aborted its new growth. And it'll continue with that growth into winter and then flower. I will bring it indoors, and the bulbs didn't get mushy, so it's pretty heat resistant but doesn't flourish. Needs to be kept 31, 90, I would give it 95 Fahrenheit as maximum, as long as you put on a lot of fans and keep that thing cooler at night. This is starting to green up and look good again. Mexillaria variabilis absolutely hates the heat. It appreciates a cooler spot, so definitely these 1, 2 Mexillaria will not be coming back out here in the springtime. They'll be going into the trees. This is their last time out here. This dendrobium here, which I will try to get out if I can. Got its absolute beating from winter with those very low temperatures that actually come away with all this growth in early or late August. So it is a real survivor. During the repot, it was a little sad because dendrobiums don't really like to be repotted, and I did not mess with the root system. I just put it straight into this larger pot, and this will be it. I will not repot it after this. If it overgrows it, I'll just take cuttings off it. It's a Kingianum, Australian native to the east coast, that is almost entirely lithophytic, growing on rock faces in moist forests, not exposed to 100% sun, but a dappled sunlight. And I did let it winter out here. I got some soft canes, I got some red canes. It didn't bud and it did not flower. However, it did from a keiki. It flowered off a keiki last winter, but not from the plant itself. So could do with a little bit more water during the winter. And this one here is also, this was just this whole full plant that I bought it as. So I did not grow this. This was bought as is, and if you're wondering what that paper is, it's got slow release in it. And a little bit of netting. And this one will have a white flower with a blue center. It's got lovely big canes on it. I'm wondering whether to winter these out here again, because I just didn't get any flowers, so I might bring them in under the grow lights. This one will come inside too. It's some kind of a Cattleya hybrid with an epidendrum, I suppose. Got a nasty burn on there thanks to the August weather. Starting to put out some new roots there because it's happy. It has beautiful flowers on it if it's going to make any. Funny thing is that my Cattleyas, they will bloom in the cooler season, but that's right. In Florida, there, a lot of your Cattleyas come into bloom during the winter season, don't they? They like to flower when it's cooler. Okay, bring that out of the way again. We have this dendrobium here. It's called Sweet Candy, and it's put out 1, 2, 3, 4 nice big healthy canes. It put up with the heat. It went a little dormant, although it kept growing. This one over here, you guys can't see, so I'm just going to bring them down. They put up with the heat, alright, right up to that 35 degrees, over 100 Fahrenheit. It's very hot, and they withstood it. And they have this shade cloth on it. If I was to take the shade cloth off, they would have stunted growth and probably not have survived. This one's called Sao Hime, which has some of the most fragrant of the nobile types, and it's put out a lot of new growth. So it's this one. And if we look around there, we can see its tag. It's a nobile type, and it's put out a lot of new canes. And this one over is in a kind of an osmium that I bought, and it's been growing out here too. Kind of pushed it, I think. I might bring my osmium and hang it out under the trees, actually, from spring. Going to move it out there. Not going to take any more chances with it. And the one at the back there is called Pink Duck. And a little peaky. Let's move this one. Hope we don't knock anything over. Alright. So you better move too, because you never know, I might knock it off. It's got some nice roots there. I've been letting them dry right out before I water them again. They're growing in sphagnum. And one more thing. The sphagnum is degraded tremendously, but it doesn't bother the dendrobiums one little bit. They keep growing in it fine, even Cattleya as well. And why are they growing in it? Don't over fertilize. You can see here that these canes are big, right? Fertilizer only once a month, and the rest of it was the hose. Just water. You overfeed, you'll find out eventually. See the tips of the leaves? They'll start going black, and it'll migrate up the leaf. And then by then your root system is almost done, because it does not need too much fertilizer. Just keep that in mind. It's only got fertilized once every 3 to 4 waterings. So during the hottest time I would water it with a hose, and then every 4th watering I would have the feed, very, very mild liquid feed with magnesium, calcium and all that stuff. But you can see here that the growth is fine, right? These canes have outgrown the previous ones, and they look thin now because the first thing you do is put growth on. Next thing they're going to do is fill out. Don't over fertilize. It's a mistake. This one is my anosmium type. So it was just they were just keikis that I bought. I'm very pleased that I actually grew it. And it could flower. I'm going to take out Ducky, because Ducky had a hard time. But it's got this new growth, and I'm super happy. It overwintered out here too. In the very cold, got nice and dry. Dendrobium Peridii, pink ducks. So there you have it. How much fertilizer? Well, there's one thing that's safe, and I want you guys to think about it more, and it's animal dung fertilizer. They're like pellets of processed chicken manure that actually have all sorts of other goodies in it, like charcoal and stuff, all pushed, compressed together. You can put a big lump of that in and you will get no burns. No burns at all, and I know that because I grow cacti, and that kind of stuff's been recommended for years and years by growers. We had a casualty. It is completely gone. Sigma Tostelix eradicans is completely eradicated. Eradicans gone because it did not like 35 degrees, and then constantly for August, little by little. And it's an oncidium type, so you want to keep your oncidiums right out of the heat. Put them under the trees, don't risk it. They do not like it. Back here is Vanderfelcut. Oh, who else does that? Vanderfelcata. It's just starting to start active root growth again. These are going to go out under the trees, and in actual fact, they're going to go now, because they're not hanging out here anymore. It was too much for them, and I don't want to lose them. These falcatas are actually doing really well now. That's what's left of a massive clump that was harvested out of somebody's garden here in Japan. A lot of gardeners have them, and every now and then they take some off and they'll sell it on the website. And I made a terrible boo-boo mistake, and when I got that big clump, it was like 20 or 25 massive growths coming off it, and I potted it into terracotta and I buried the roots and pushed moss all around them. That was a big mistake. Being a Vanda does not like its roots buried. Found that out pretty quick. This one was my Dendrobium linguiforme, or Dockerilla. And if you want to see lots of Dockerillas, check out Terry. Terry loves those Dockerillas too, and did have a new growth. Can you see that? But I don't know. I think it might have. Is it still active? I don't know. I don't know with my eyes. But definitely the plant appears to be fine. Yep. I'm just wondering that this will be one that will end up in the garden too, I would think. Maybe not. Just deciding. It looks healthy and stuff like that, and the roots don't look too bad. going by its new growth, it certainly reached its threshold of heat. And you can see right there, that it actually starting to grow roots again. So did it appreciate 35 degrees? Not really. Did it survive? Yes. Did it appreciate it? No. Didn't like it, but it survived. Okay, let's take this one out. This is a sign that Cattleyas hate pots. Okay, so if you have them in pots and they're doing really well, like this one, just leave it alone. But if you do have trouble and they start rotting, it's the pot, because it just carries too much medium. However, this one here, this Youngman Gold, has actually put out a new growth right there. And I seriously underwatered it for the last month. And these canes have gotten really shriveled. And then it got happy and it put out a new growth. How's that for weird? What makes this thing happy is the shrivel. And it's in straight bark, so you can't say that it's choked of oxygen or anything like that. I'm just going to keep it going like that, and I am not going to water it a lot. I'm going to veer on the underwatering, which may sound wrong, but I'm telling you, these canes are shriveled, but they're healthy. And it pushed out that new growth that I just showed you at the back there. It only made that possible since shriveling. I'm going to move you up a little bit more so you can catch a little bit more light. Let's see. Around here, I think. Up. Hook it on there without knocking anything off. Carefully does it. There you go. It's got a little bit more light and a little bit more fresh air blowing from around the corner there. Happy about this one here. Super happy. Very happy. Gonna move this one down a little bit more because it's kind of a biggie. Here it is. I'll tell you something funny is that I had a Kingianum and it died. I have no idea why. Uh-oh. It's sagging right over, which means that these hangers here are made of you just twisted it around the pot. It's very flexible bonsai wire, and flexible bonsai wire. So I need to put this phone down and try to give you a look though. There we go. Yeah, my hangers are made of bonsai wire, and we just bend them around on a loop like that, like you saw there. The plants grow happily. With no problems. Hang in it. So I gotta Find space for everything. Everything has space. When I keep going shopping, I see stuff and then I don't buy it, but I try to remember what I see, and then I can just come up with ideas. That's what these kitchen wire racks are all about. This one here is so fragrant. It's amazing. I mean, I never smelled I've never smelt a nobly as fragrant as that. And this one, Sweet Candy, is also very prolific flower. It has very, very fragrant flowers, and I think that's why they cultivate it so much. It's a big seller. It sells well. Those nobly types that are grown and sold a few times that do not sell well, you don't seem to see those ever again. Okay, moving along. I'm always forgetting the name of this grassy orchid thing. Alaudium or Alludium or something. It hasn't flowered for me yet, but it has these two new growths here. 1, 2 that have been growing and growing much better this year. Of course, I thought I was going to lose it because it was just one cane. It wasn't taken off very nicely either. It was kind of snapped off and it barely had any roots on it. But it's growing. It's going to come inside because it did last winter. I don't think it can put up with cold temperatures, because if it did, it would be growing everywhere here. This one is the Cattleya Beringiana. Huh? Guess who that is? Okay, it looks like it's got a sheath here, so it's going to flower, but all of this is a new cane from my Cattleya Beringiana. Beringiana has, I can't remember if its flowers are fragrant or not. Can't remember, but I do know that this is a easy growing Cattleya. It's probably not everyone's favorite, but it definitely is hardy and tough, and it's growing in sphagnum and it's just gobbled it all up with roots. It's got neat little bulbs on it, look. It's got this little fat bulb on it. And I bring that indoors in the winter too. This seems to be something that Lycast do. They will. Ooh. Mushy. They will discard a bulb. I want to get that on my hands. but it's definitely rotted a bulb off, and it seems to be something that it just wants to do. There's no reason why it should rot a bulb off. Likes to guzzle a lot of water, some sphagnum. As you know, lycas grow on the forest floor, in the jungles in Colombia and Venezuela and stuff like that. They have a leaf that's reminiscent of a fias. If I was just to show that part, you'd think it was a fias. But it doesn't seem to multiply bulbs. It seems to grow one and rot one. But then again, it's healthy, no problems. It got its feed for the year. Okay, this one is Blue Heaven Laliocatlia. We better move this one out of the way first. And you see the new growth here, and you can see the roots going down into the media, which is almost all pumice with some bark, and it's in this very well draining pot, porous. This is a jumbo Cattleya. Got me a bit worried because when I was watering it, it was in a plastic pot, and I thought, I could lose it. But I think it's a pretty tough hybrid for sure, just like this thing that you're going to look at soon. And it doesn't seem to set it back one bit, even though it was in the plastic pot. In actual fact, I took it out and it was pretty dry in there, even though I've been watering it. The roots didn't really move too much, so I did move it to this porous pot, just in case. All its roots were fine. It put out a new cane, which is this one. It has a sheath that I don't see anything inside it. A little bit of burn on the end. This burn here is not mine. I bought it like that. It was a ratty thing, but healthy, right? It had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all of these canes on it, and you could see these new eyes where it's going to grow. So, typical of a Cattleya, it loved the heat. Those high 105 Fahrenheit temperatures didn't threaten this Cattleya one bit, and it kept growing. This big cane, and once this big cane grew out these leaves and that sheath, only then after it decided to make roots, and it's got this piece growing off it now. Now see these outer you can call these the sheaths too of the cane. You can get tempted to want to rip them off, but you should wait until the cane has fully matured and become hardened off before you peel it off, because sometimes you can peel it off prematurely and your whole cane will flop over, it'll lose its support. Did that once. So this one will come in. I'm just happy I can grow a Cattleya. Will it flower? You know what? It might. Who knows? And you can see this wire that's over it. That's wire that I bent over there under pressure. So it's, you got to really put your muscle into bending this wire. It's pretty solid, and it is holding the plant sturdy in the pot so it don't wobble around. Because as they say, when they wobble around in the pot, they're not happy. And all of this stuff down here is actually, and I gave it some dolomite lime. Lots of roots, lots of growth. That is its flowering inflorescence. That it should flower. Come on, this time. New growth. Another new growth. This is also a new growth here that's tends to get floppy. Likes to flop over. Don't panic. Don't panic. Leliocattleyas seem to have a tendency to flop their leaves over. You just got to prop them up a little bit, but it's fine. It's not a health issue. You do that sometimes. So this thing is in a pot, right? Blue heaven. Doesn't mind it one bit. You can water it generously. Make sure it dries out in between each watering. Gets a little bit more extra water from... Let me just move that around a little bit. Hang on. Let's get some space. It's got some minor normal damage there from heat. All orchids get it, no problem. What was I going to say about this is that, yeah, it's growing in a pot, and Cattleyas hate pots. This one does fine in a pot. It's very barky and pumicey, and this is unglazed and not painted or anything, not sealed, so that it breathes. And it does get a little rainwater on it. When it does come through, it will come inside. So it's not going to be out here. I'm just fluffing about here trying to put it back. So don't mind me. The lack of space. Lack of space means that I got to move plants around. Okay, so it's fine. By the end of October, it's coming in. So is Lycast. So is this one. They gotta come in. This was magnificent here. Why do I use dolomite lime? Because you just got to keep some calcium and magnesium in there to keep the plant healthy, turgid and strong, thick leaves. I wanted to make. Also, but if it does get a little too much water, calcium and magnesium helps the plant to have a fully activated root system that pushes all the water through right to the leaf tips. Without it, you can have root issues. So I'm quite tempted at ripping these off, see here. But oh no, don't do it. I'm going to wait until it's not only matured, but it is hardened off, and then I will take these off. You can make that mistake, but you can learn from it by doing it. And all of these roots, believe it or not, were not produced during the summer. They were produced during the winter when it was very cool. pushed out all these roots, and you can see that the tips are not quite growing right now. Although they are healthy, the tips have stopped. But it pushed out all this root mass during the winter, which was inside, which had a lot of sunlight, and temperatures went down to about 10 degrees at night and got up to about 20 degrees during the day. It's thrusted out lots and lots of roots. So it's like these things gear up, right? They get all their growth happening in the cooler months, and that was with a medium that was almost bone dry, and I would water it very, very sparingly, and most of the time it was bone dry, but it shoved out all these roots. The last one, or two, these are like the giant types of nobiles. Tomo Fleek Napori. Tomo Flake. Says Joker on here. The Joker Company. They send you plastic plants. Okay, so these are the previous growths. This one had a little setback because it was cheap. It was $5 at the back of the nursery, so it was underwatered, and the new growths were just tiny little nubbins just coming out, and that was during the midsummer. So it's got a little setback on its growth, but it's making up for it. It's got all of October to finish what it has to do to get these canes right up to the top, right? And it has been fed with the pellet. This is its second one, so that's all that's required right now, is that it grows right up. But if it doesn't, and it's a little premature and stuff like that, it was only $5. And I'm pretty sure in nature sometimes the next canes don't get as big as some other canes now and then. But I'm pretty sure that it's really healthy and it'll keep growing. Being in a big pot that's kind of tall, I make sure that it's drying out before I do water it again. So I try not to keep it wet, because they can damage the root system being in such a large pot. So be careful. I did get a watering yesterday, that's why it's wet. This one here is another Dendrobium nobile type. It's called Sayuri. You see the tag there. And this one is a very healthy, very easy growing one that I can mount to the trees in the garden even. Which I have one in a pot down there that's growing quite well, and it's going to be mounted on a tree. It was here during the summer, did really well, I think. The sure sign of it not doing well is when you touch the canes and they go mushy. It means that it's been overheated. But in this spot here, it was fine. This one goes down here because it's really tall. Okay, that's everything. I had a good chit chat with you, and I hope this helps you to grow some of these orchids better in your conditions. And I'd like to share the ups and downs and everything like that with everybody, so that you can grow your orchids better. And if you have any questions, let me know, and I'll get back to you. And if there's anything here that you're interested in growing, then go ahead and try. Sorry we don't have a name for that. This jumbo one, but it has huge flowers that are as big as my hand. The absolute biggest jumbo cattleya flowers you can have, and around the tip of the labellum is a purpley color, so it's kind of purpley pink and yellow, but it's a stunning flower that's got a very typical cattleya fragrance, if you know what I mean. It's kind of a very distinct cattleya fragrance, a typical fragrance that you would find from a species. And I just liked it when I saw it and thought, yeah, I want to have that one. So it was no mistake. It's a good grower. And yep, you might want to try some of these other ones here. And you can see that I let you know about their maximum heat tolerance and stuff like that. Hope that helps you out too. And a lot of these ones that you see here are super hardy. So if you're looking for something super hardy, then you are gonna have no mistakes buying these ones that I've just introduced to you. All I can say is that when you do use sphagnum moss, do not make the mistake of filling the whole pot with sphagnum. Just an inch or so of sphagnum, and the rest of it styrofoam chips. Shove them in the bottom. Do not make it deep with moss, because it likes to be moist, but it doesn't like to be wet. Orchids don't like it. So if you're planning on hanging them under the trees and sphagnum moss, they can get plenty of water, but they won't rot, because it just won't be enough moss to stay wet. It'll just keep drying off. Okay, that's it. Thanks for watching, and next time I see you, it'll be about indoor plants or my cacti again. And until then, thanks for watching. Bye bye.